What's up, my brother?
What's happening?
How you doing?
I'm good.
How's your day?
Good. Not bad, not bad.
All right, cool, cool. So, what'd you do today?
Wood turning wise, sanded about 3 of these this afternoon.
Very nice.
Yeah. Work wise, that's about it. Did some other things around the house.
All right, so tell us your name and where you're from.
My name is Greg Gallegos, and I'm from all over the place. I live in Michigan right now, but I've lived everywhere pretty much. So.
All right, and we'll get into that.
Yes, that's fine.
All right. So let's get started.
Let's do this.
What word or phrase do you overuse?
What word or phrase do I overuse? Gosh, that's a tough one. I have no clue. Probably a lot, too many. Ask my kids. I know they probably tell you.
What is your least favorite thing to do?
Sanding. Absolutely.
Okay, what about in life?
My least favorite thing to do. Computer work, for work, business side of things. That's probably my biggest bane of my existence. It really is. It's tough. It is tough.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother job.
It is.
No, I mean it.
Really
Yeah,
is.
yeah. It really is.
And most of us are not good at it.
And count me in there. I'm not ashamed to admit
it. What is your most favorite thing to do?
My most favorite thing to do it would be hanging out with the kids anytime I can get.
How many?
4.
Wow. How old?
15, 19, 22, and 24.
So you got big kids.
Yes.
And they still want to hang with you.
Yeah. For the most part.
My son wants to hang when it's time to go eat.
Right. Yeah. We like to eat. Yeah. I know it don't look like it, but we can eat.
I do look like I can eat.
Yeah.
What would your spouse like to change about you?
My spouse. I don't have a spouse. I have a partner. And
what would your partner like to change about you?
Good question. You'd have to ask them, right? I don't know.
But you should know that.
Well, probably being a little bit more proactive, I would imagine. Doing things when they need to get done instead of putting it off like everybody else.
I'll get it tomorrow.
Right. Yep.
If you want to take a motorcycle trip around the country, who would you go with?
Ooh. That's a good question.
These are regular real life questions.
Sure.
No celebrities, just people you know.
No,
that
right.
You want to spend time with.
I don't want to single any of my kids out. Don't want to make them feel bad. Because that would be a big, gang of people riding down the road. Who would I want to take a trip around the country on a motorcycle with? Probably my girlfriend. Sure, why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, if there was a card game and a fight could break out, who would you take?
Anybody. I don't care.
Anybody.
Who would I take to a card game if a fight was going to break out?
Possibly. Not necessarily, but possibly.
Possibly. It could be anybody, right? Past, present, future?
Again, these are people that are close to you.
Okay. Probably my brother.
Yeah, past, future friends, whatever.
I'll take my brother. Why not?
Can he play cards
Yeah,
and possibly fight?
he should be able to.
So is he a good card player?
He's all right. I think he's all right.
So do you play cards with him now?
No, I haven't played with him in a while, but
Where's he?
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
So what's he doing there?
He's a cop.
We'll talk about that.
That's fine. That's fine.
Handcuffs or scarves?
Handcuffs.
All right. What makes you tick?
Being able to do what I do,
Okay.
you know, being creative.
Right. And you do it well. What irks you the most?
Not having enough time, probably. Just seems like there's not enough time in the day, and then so much to do that just gets frustrating at times. That probably irks me the most.
Okay. What sound makes you happiest?
What sound makes me happiest? Oof. Well, there's a couple, but you know, I don't know. A notification on my phone that I sold something. Is that all right?
Cha-ching!
Not to be materialistic or anything, but
Listen, you know,
I'm a
the kids need
businessman
new
just like
shoes.
anybody else.
Exactly. Exactly. What sound bothers you the most?
I don't know. Nothing bothers me, but I mean, I don't like loud things. I mean, I wear headphones all day, so when I'm in the shop. So, because I don't like even the sound of if some things I'm turning are too loud, you know, or the vacuum if I'm using the shop vac or, you know, whatever. I just don't like loud noises. They do bother me.
All right. If you in a bar and a fight broke out, would your girlfriend be more likely to grab the gun or call the police?
Grab the gun.
Okay. Is
Probably.
she from Jersey as well?
No. No.
What is your favorite cuss word?
Are we PG here? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm shit, fuck, whatever. You know, it don't matter.
All right. What profession other than your own would you like to try?
Would I like to try something I think I would be good at? How about a special agent, FBI, CIA, something like that? Something with investigative work, something like that. I like that kind of stuff.
So how do you know you're good at that?
Well, I would like it. I don't know if I'm good at it, but you know, but I know what I'm good at, so I stick to that. Okay. I mean, it would be interesting to me. How about that?
What's your favorite spy movie?
My favorite spy movie? I mean,
John Jordan is completely 007.
I mean, all the James Bonds are good. You know that.
Okay, who's your favorite James Bond?
Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he is, you know.
Yeah.
Sean Connery comes in second, but Daniel Craig is good. He's real good.
I like Sean Connery. I thought Roger Moore was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of grew up in that time period where Roger Moore was 007. So, I mean, he's all right.
Yeah, but I would have to give it to you. I think Daniel Craig was more of an American cool than he was a British cool.
Right. They kind of. I think you're right.
Yeah,
I
because
do.
I think American cool has more swag.
Hmm.
British cool is a little more uptight.
Right. A little more dignified and a little bit more, yeah. You're
He
right.
didn't have a cuss word.
No, no.
So, what would you want on your tombstone?
Yikes. These are some tough questions. You know that, Robert?
But they're easy.
I don't know.
It's regular,
Uh,
everyday stuff that you
I
probably
guess,
don't think.
you know, a good father. How about that? You know, that's probably the most important thing to me. So, you know, just being there for my kids.
That's
Something
that's
along
that's
those lines.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, along
So,
those lines.
what is your most proudest father moment?
Well, I mean, still have one in high school. The others have graduated. Uh, my 19-year-old's joining the Navy. So,
That's pretty good.
yeah, that's a good one. But I mean, when they were all born, that's a proud moment. You know, I cut all the umbilical cords and gave them their
Wow.
first baths and stuff. So I mean, that stuff that's important. That's proud. Those are proud moments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it kind of, I mean, does it outweigh the graduations and all this other stuff? Kind of for me, it does, because you know that's the moment that
Yeah.
it
I
really
I,
gets you.
I think one of my proud father moments was my son had to be 2 or 3,
Mm-hmm.
and his mom and I never ever saw eye to eye. I don't care what it was.
Right.
Well, I don't. It didn't matter.
Yep.
If I said something, she said the other. It didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the kitchen, and I turned the stove on, and I put his hand there and said hot. Said hot. And I keep showing him what hot was, and then he said hot. So then he learned what hot was. So we
Right.
go to eat pizza at Two Boots in the West Village, 7 and 11. And we sit in a window, and the son was on a seat. And he sat down, and he said hot.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, so I sit down, I was like, whoa, I said, yes, hot.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I was like, okay, good.
Right.
And he was pretty young to pick that up. So
Right.
that made me feel good.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Because
so
her and I
many
fought
moments
about
like that. Right.
Yeah. Her and I
Yeah.
fought about teaching him hot like that. I'm like, he's gonna learn what it is right now so he knows.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
and he did.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into your journey.
All right.
We're gonna start from high school
Mm-hmm.
and the things in your life that led you and pointed in the direction of where you are now.
High school was, high school was high school, right? So you take, I don't know, I guess at this point you can look back and say what were the biggest things that you got out of it? You know, I went to college for like a semester or whatever, so that was that. But so the biggest thing I got out of high school was art class, wood shop, and one of the biggest things, honestly, that I take from high school, and it's such a simple thing, and this is going to sound really stupid, but I learned how to type, right? I mean, it is dumb. You can learn it anywhere, but I learned how to type in high school, and you use it every day, right?
Now,
So,
how fast were you typing? Were you tearing it up or pecking?
well, you learned how to type the right way,
Right.
on the old, word processor type, paper in there and all that kind of stuff. So, you learned how to type the right way, and then, but yeah, that's fine. But, wood shop was, highly influential, obviously, and art class. Because at that time, I was bigger into drawing and painting at that time. But wood shop was still wood shop, and I loved it because just, wood.
What were you drawing at that time?
Anything that I could think of. Yeah, I kind of focused more on like portraits, faces, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So that's,
do you still do that?
I haven't drawn in a long time. It takes me a while. So, you know, with life the way it is right now, it's just kind of one of those things that, I mean, I'm sure I will eventually, but it does take me a while to draw something because that's just how my mind works with drawing. With wood turning, completely opposite. I want to get stuff done as fast as I can. So, but, I did do that after high school. I went the drawing and painting route, and I did sell a few drawings at some galleries. And
How
then
old were you when you sold your first drawing?
19, 20, maybe.
Wow.
Something like that. Uh,
And you say you were only in college for a semester.
right. And then, that was in California, and then moved to Missouri, St. Louis area. And then was still drawing at that time. Got married.
How old?
How old was I when I got married? 21, 22.
Wow.
Yeah. And then had kids, young. And then, I was still drawing at the time, obviously working. It wasn't until probably 2000 or so, moved to Michigan. And I forget what the reason, I started to get into wood carving, small carving, just doing some small carvings. And I think I was at a bookstore one time trying to get more books on carving. And then I was looking in the section and there were some books on wood turning, Richard Raffin books. And I guess I looked at them and was just flipping through them. I was like, yeah, and then remembering wood shop in high school, the lathe, it was probably my favorite thing about wood shop in high school. So I was like, okay, bought a lathe not long after, and that was it.
So what kind of lathe did you have in high school?
Those were the old, probably Generals or old Powermatics, just really
I have
old.
an old Powermatic.
Right. They were.
I got it from school.
Right. Probably the same ones. They're big and clunky, but they worked. It was fine.
Yep.
But I did enjoy it. And I remember that's probably the one thing I remember most about high school woodshop class was the lathe and being able to use it.
And how old were you when you got a lathe?
Probably 25, 26.
All right. Now, did you get it with the intent to be a wood turner or fool around?
To be a wood turner, right? Because I remembered that, I knew I would like it, obviously, and I just remembered it. And so I bought a little mini lathe, Delta mini lathe, and just went at it. And I read, really the only books I read on wood turning were Richard Raffin's books at that time. There weren't too many more at the bookstore, so those were the only ones. So I got them, and just really followed along with what he was talking about. And I really did, I think he said in the books, like, apprentice yourself for like 5 years, and I really did that before I even thought about selling anything.
So how much did you turn?
I turned every day. Something every
for
day.
5 years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just as much as I could, any wood I went the normal route that you see most beginners do is, buying wood, buying little, dimensional stuff at the store and either gluing it up or, just trying to turn little stuff like that. And I did that for a little while. And then, as you progress and read the books even more, he's talking about turning green wood, turning fresh felled wood. So it's like, okay, well, that's easier than going to buy wood and spending money on it. So, I started doing that. And then, yeah, it was a good 5 years straight, just trying to figure it out. That was kind of pre-YouTube and pre all that stuff. The kids were really young, right? So the time is limited. So instead of joining a wood turning club or anything like that, it was just, I figured, just take the time that you do get and that you do have and go and do that. You know what I mean? Just get on the lathe and stand in front of it and get that experience.
So no lessons, none of that stuff.
No.
Just self-learning.
Right. From books. I mean, if you want to call that, but that's it. So,
Wow.
I mean, it worked, yeah, you make a lot of mistakes, but like I said, it's pre-YouTube. And so
Yeah.
if you follow these books and you try to present, the tools the right way and all that stuff to the wood, then you're going to figure it out. You will figure it out, but you've got to stand in front of the lathe. You've got to get the experience no matter what, and it's going to take a long time, but that's okay.
Yeah.
If
you want to get there.
Yeah. If you want to get there, and, the more I did it, just the more addicted you become to it, and the more you want to do it. What's that next piece of wood going to look like? You know what I mean? So it's just.
So where were you sourcing your wood?
Just wherever I can, wherever I could then too. It wasn't anything big at the time because it was a mini lathe. So I was trying to get small little chunks, branches here and there and stuff like that. So it was just either see wood laying around on the side of the road, just pick it up. I had that mini lathe probably for about 2 or 3 years, and then progressively went through like 2 more lathes, bigger ones, till I settled on the one I've got now. But yeah.
And okay, so after 5 years, how did you go about
when I thought I was ready to start selling things, I just did the local craft markets around town, and it did pretty well. Did fine. That always gives you a little bit of an adrenaline kick, you know what I mean? To okay, I can do this.
Yeah. And a little cash.
And a little cash, right? So I was working for AT&T in 2008, and like when the recession hit that first time in 2008, got laid off. And I'd still been turning and all that stuff and going to the craft markets, and, just talked to a friend of mine who's a woodworker here in town. And he's like, have you heard about Etsy, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, I checked it out. And it took me probably a good week to, work up the nerve to like, should I do this? Should I get, an Etsy shop going, all that. So I was like, and then eventually I did. And, I made
after a week or longer.
About a week. It took me about a week, and
that's not bad.
No, to figure out to do it. And then, like, I think it was early December of 2008, I made my first sale on there. And I'd only been on there for probably a couple of weeks, a week or so, week and a half. And then I made my first sale, and that was cool. So, it just progressively, it got bigger because I didn't stop turning, obviously. And that was the time I didn't go back to work after that. So I've been doing it full time 12 years now. So.
Okay. So you got laid off, you get on Etsy, you start turning, and then
right.
it blows up. It goes well.
And that's the thing. It's like, you never know how it's going to go down. Right. And it takes luck. It takes a good hard work, a good business model, which I didn't have. I tend to jump into things head first, feet first, just
more luck,
splash right into that, and I would recommend anybody that has any inkling or, that wants to do this, have a good business plan set up. I mean, I'm still 12 years on. I'm still, working towards that, right? Trying to,
right.
Get it to be more consistent and all that stuff. But the luck part of it is knowing that people see your work and that they like it, and then someone really likes it. So that happened to me. There's a guy in California that really liked my work, and he bought a ton of it. I mean, I couldn't imagine how much money he spent on stuff. Anytime I had any, good really beautiful wood. He bought it straight up. And so
That's good.
that's good. And it gives you that, that kick in the butt that you need to, and keep making and keep creating.
It's a kick in the butt and a pat on the back at the same time.
Right. And, could be good, could be bad. You could think, well, it's just one person. What if he doesn't buy anymore? Then I'm screwed. But no, I mean, yeah, I thought of it as like, well, if one person's doing this, okay, well then, we can get a lot of other people to do, at least, they don't have to buy a lot like he does. And that's what happened. I mean, you just start selling a lot, and I think a lot of it is just keep creating and keep putting things on there, right? Whether it's on Etsy or if you have a website or whatever, a lot of it is content. A lot of it is, it's like walking into a store that has the same products all the time. You're not going to really go in there anymore. If you keep it different, if you try and update it as much as you can and keep things moving, right? Keep it fresh, because people want to see freshness, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, so.
So what else besides Etsy and your website,
right,
and IG? What else do you do to market?
To market, not a whole lot. Those are the, I mean, I'm on Facebook too, but Instagram, Facebook, website. I do have, but people will find you from those things, right? So I have wholesale accounts that I work with, right? Shops and stores that will buy my stuff on wholesale and then sell it in their shops, which is fine, because you've got to diversify also. You can't just think I'm going to sit here and make $3,000 pieces and they're all going to sell, baby, and I'm going to be, golden. It doesn't work that way. You've got to, unfortunately, the wholesale stuff, it's just a big circle. That helps with art gallery stuff. So it all plays a part. If you want to make a living doing it, you're going to have to get into that. You're going to have to get into wholesale and making things that, a lot of a certain thing. You're just going to have to.
Right. So, what do you find is the most challenging about doing this?
The business side of it. Yeah. It's the marketing. It's obviously making the income consistent, super consistent, right? Knowing that, is that going to happen? I don't know. Maybe not. But to keep it on a consistent level, somewhat consistent level, and that all comes with reaching out and trying to get your stuff out there even more, which I still don't even feel like I've even scratched the surface of doing that. I mean, so as a part of my journey into wood turning and woodworking community, it wasn't until 2018 that I had ever been around another wood turner, seen anybody really turning wood at a lathe, or even turned in front of anybody else.
Wow.
Right. So, because I had just not consciously sequestered myself away to do that, but I family situations and, life situations come into play when you have kids and stuff like that. So, and it did, and that's fine. I don't ever regret any of it, not for a second. But that forced me to evaluate what I needed to do. And I, stay inside, stay hunkered down, work your ass off and keep making stuff, as opposed to going out here and there. But as the kids got older, I wanted to do that. So, in 2018, I did a hands-on retreat here in Michigan at Ron Campbell's, and it was great. I enjoyed it. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy, passing on knowledge, as much as I can. So.
Yeah, I was checking. I contacted you a year and something ago about taking a class with you.
Okay. Yeah.
You wanted to get more into that. And do that more. When I started doing my thing, I was kind of like that. I didn't know a lot of people.
Right.
I didn't hang in circles. I just piled up logs and cut them and stacked them and cut them and stacked them.
Right.
And, I look up and I've been doing this for 14 years. And I'm like, I need to get to know more people.
Right. Right. And you do. Yeah.
Yeah, because part of what I do is wholesale.
Yep.
And I don't do a lot of it because my business was able to sustain the yard part.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's a wholesale wood slab part here that I'm missing,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to reach out to more people
Right.
to share this with.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I need to make more relationships.
Yeah.
And
No,
that's
that's true.
And that's part of this, because I've kind of always been to myself and never really bothered building networks or relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm making more of an effort to do that. And I have to do it without thinking about it, because if I think about it, I talk myself out of it.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why I randomly call you,
Mm-hmm.
John Jordan,
Right.
Keith, because that it hits me. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I'm making an effort to get more out there, because there are a lot of guys. As we say this, have you gone to any of the wood turning symposiums? Okay.
I was going to go this year, but it got canceled.
Right. Now, that's why I met Alan Adler.
Mm-hmm.
I met a bunch of people, and it's so funny because I started going 4 or 5 years ago. Pittsburgh,
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, Kansas City, and I think that's it.
Right.
And the last one I went to was in Saratoga last year.
Okay.
And that became bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how there's these two parallels of wood turning.
Yeah.
There's the one that does the groups and the symposiums, and then there's the people who are online.
Mm-hmm.
And some do both,
Right.
but most don't. Like the people who are online don't go to symposiums.
Yeah.
And there are people who are on symposiums who aren't online.
True. Very true.
And there are some guys out there who do some crazy, amazing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the only people who know about them are the people who are in their groups in the city they're in,
Right.
and the other symposiums that they've been to. And I'm trying to figure out how to merge those two. Right. Because there are a lot of guys out there, and John Jordan attest to that. There's a lot of guys out there that we need to know about, mm-hmm. that we don't. Yeah. And there's a lot of guys out there that we don't know about, and they don't really care. Right. Because like you, they're just interested in the work. Yeah. So, there's a fine line between to and not to get out there. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily validate you because you're out there. Right. It just means that you're out there and more people can reach you. Yes, absolutely. I completely agree with you. I mean, do I know a lot of people in the wood turning community personally? A few. I don't know too many super personally. I've met a lot of them on Instagram and whatnot. But do I know them? Like, have I ever met them before? No. I've met him on Instagram, which is great. I mean, John Jordan, great guy. I just know that from meeting him on Instagram. You know? Yeah, he used to know everyone, not anymore. Right. No, but that's the thing is, but I've admired his work for a long time. I have, there was an old article about, him turning these vessels, and I think he probably did it back in the 80s. That that was one of the, he'll validate that. Oh, I know. I see him. And that's the thing is I used to read that article over and over again because it's like, I thought that was great. That was the shit. And,
but now that I've, it's interesting. That's the great thing about social media is you do get to actually talk to these people that in your field or whatever that, wow, I mean, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
It
and
is cool.
that's the whole essence of what we're doing is to be able to be tangible.
Right.
It's to put you all out there so people can ask a question or listen to how you got to where you are.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I'd love to meet all the old school guys. Hopefully they don't mind me saying that, but no, I mean,
I think John
but,
knows he's old school.
well, he does, but I mean, he's old school and he calls himself a country boy, but I mean,
He is a country boy.
how many country boys have work in the Smithsonian? Stop. You know what I mean? It's true, but
listen, I agree with you.
yeah.
John is amazing.
Yeah.
But he is a country boy.
Yeah.
And you can be both.
You can, absolutely. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing. Says you have to see John
Demo in person. Yeah.
Got to see him in Utah one turn.
Right.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing too. It is funny when I use his hollowing tools, right? John Jordan's hollowing tools, and I have pretty much since I got into hollowing a long time ago. And I often wonder to myself, am I using them right? You don't know. And that's what I'm talking about by being like sequestered myself and not being around other people. Am I using the tools right? Well, I've learned how to use them. So maybe I'm using them right. Maybe I use them. Maybe he uses them differently. Right.
Yes.
I don't know.
And that's the thing about.
Right. Probably not, but I'm just saying that,
not taking classes, not being trained, is that you figure out how to do it.
Yes.
Is it right?
Right. I think there's no right way. There's no wrong way. It's just maybe it took a little bit longer. If I didn't, if I had gone to classes, of course, you're going to, learn that way and, that'll probably stick with you. But, it just wasn't feasible at the time and that's okay. I don't have any regrets. I don't have any regrets about it. I don't, apart from like the Richard Raffin books, John Jordan and maybe a few others, I really don't like looking at other people's work as opposed as like an inspiration type thing, because I don't want to be inspired by what they do. I want to respect what they do and like it, but I want to, I was conscious that I didn't want to try and copy anybody. I mean, we're turning wood round here for the most part. So you're going to have to come up with something that is a little bit different, and it's tough. It is. But that's a part of doing it for a long time. And if you do it long enough and often enough, you will eventually find something that's yours and you can run with it. Even if it's similar, it's similar. It's still kind of the same. But if it's yours, it's yours. You can come up with something, even if it's a little different. A lot of what I do, 98% of what I do is turning green wood because it's what's out there. It's free most of the time. It's easy to get. And so instead of trying to turn it twice turned, which, rough it out and leave it sit and dry, I don't like to wait. I want to get it done now. So that led me to, in Richard Raffin's books, he talks about turning green wood. So I was like, fantastic. This is right up my alley. So, and it's, you can kind of create things and they kind of have a life of their own. So I've done that for so long now that that's really all I do. I very rarely will turn something that's bone dry. Probably never. If I'm making boxes or something, I'll do it. But other than that, it's all wet. It's all wet wood. And I want it to move. Because I like that. That's, I like the way it looks. It's organic. The forms are organic, and that's an easy thing for me to do.
Yeah, and John just commented and laughed at other turners ain't a great source. Yeah, I kind of get that, because when you're correct, when you see something, there's kind of a subliminal reference to it, as opposed to going in raw and not having
Right.
anything and see what you can create.
Right. Absolutely. It's the truth. I mean, you've got to, it's almost like you do have to shut it all out, you know, and even though you're turning something round, right, you're going to have to, but you've got to at least have form, right? And that can be taught if you don't have it, right, naturally. If you can't see form naturally, you can learn it, you know. There's many ways to learn good form, you know, but you've really got to have it. You've got to have good form more than anything else. You know, if you don't, then it's just, you know, a lot of the times it won't work. And you and go crazy with it. Go scientific about it. I do that all the time. I research like what shapes do the human eye, you know, attract the most? What's most attractive to the human eye? What kind of form? What shape? What colors do humans, you know, the human eye, what is it most attracted to? Do all that research, you know, because it's not going to hurt.
Right.
You know, a lot of my pieces are blue. They're blue for a reason, because that's the color that the human eye is most attracted to most of the time. It's not hard.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, and a part of what I do, what I've tried to do is do as many different things as I can, right? As many different shapes, forms, pieces, whatever, so that I have that in the mental Rolodex of what I can do. Working with various kinds of wood that's here in Michigan. If you work with it long enough, different species, you'll know what works best with that wood, right? So I know that oak moves a lot. So I can, if I get any oak, I know what I can do with it. What shapes, what this or that, cherry, walnut, whatever.
What species do you get the most?
Cherry, probably. Cherry
you
and
get
apple.
a lot of it?
I get a lot of apple. I get a lot of cherry. I love working with apple, but it's, you know,
really wet.
Yeah, I like it when it's fresh cut, just straight up fresh cut, you know, and then I've had so much apple before. I tried to, one time I got an apple tree and I tried to rough turn some bowls and stuff out of it. I lost like probably 70%. That was a long time ago, not knowing that apple it's just too much. It cracks so bad. But so after that, yeah, just turn it all wet, green. Yeah, I'll turn bowls, but I'm going to turn them green, and I'm going to turn them somewhat thin so they'll move when I stick them in the microwave. You know, so
how long do you put them in the microwave for?
Just depends on the wood, depends on the size, wood thickness, shape, all kinds of stuff. And that's another. I mean, a microwave to me is just another tool when it comes to wood turning. I use it just as much as anything else. I use it for everything, almost. Really, I do. Like, if I'm gonna bleach pieces or dye pieces or do this or that, I'll still use it to dry that stuff out faster than just letting it air dry. You know, because I'm a sucker for not waiting for stuff to, you know, I don't like watching paint dry. So, you know, whatever I can do to speed things up, the microwave is the answer.
And this is not the same microwave in your house, right?
Well, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. You know, it depends.
Depends on where you are, right?
That's right. The podlets that I do, the little wooden flowers, you know, those are microwaved, right? So, but that's one of the pieces that I do mainly for wholesale stuff, right? Because, you know, that's really one of the fastest things I can make. And it's a great way to use like branch wood that no one's going to use. You know, if you can, and I've used all different species of wood for it. It's something simple to make. And they sell.
They're beautiful.
Like hotcakes, you know, but it also, even though they're simple and easy to make, they still give me that artistic representation of, because I turn them thin, so I know they're going to move in the microwave when I dry them out. I know the rim or the cup part is going to end up being wavy because I'm turning it really thin. So that gives me the you know, the satisfaction of still, even though if I have to make 50 or 60 of them at one time, you know, it breaks up the monotony because they're still going to be different, each one of them.
What's the most you've made at one time?
Probably 100. Well,
And how long would that take you?
average time to make one is 8 minutes.
To make one?
Right. Fastest I've ever made one's probably a little under 5 minutes.
Wow.
But.
And that's finished, sanded, good to go.
Yeah.
Out the door.
Right.
Wow.
So, I mean, but that's after those evolved from turning natural edge goblets, you know, with the top part being natural edge and the bottom part being natural edge. So I figured try something different, put the little base on it, right? So that was just a fluke. I didn't know if it would work out or not. So I figured the bases are solid, right? So I figured if I put this in the microwave, it's probably going to crack. And I thought, well, it's pretty organic form, so I wouldn't be too upset with the cracking. I can not embellish it, but maybe carve it out a little bit, sand it down smooth. But you know, lo and behold, I stick it in the microwave for a minute and a half, and the base doesn't crack. If I do get cracks, it's on the very bottom. You can't see it. So, okay, great, even better. So, you know, it's all experimentation. It really is, you know, and that's a part of the game, is trying different things until they work. So, yeah, I don't know how many of those I've made. Probably, I don't know, thousands at this point.
Right.
My fail rate on those is probably like 5%, just like with everything else, you know.
Right.
So.
All right. So can we get a tour?
Yeah. Forgive the little jiggle and wiggle here while I take it off the tripod. All right. How do I turn this around? Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right, there's tripod. There's lathe. It's just a Nova DVR XP. It's, I don't know how long. I think I probably had it for probably 6 or 7 years now. Maybe 8 years. I don't know, something like that.
What'd you have before that?
I had a Nova, same lathe, but it was the belt-driven one, the 16, whatever it is, 44, 24, something like that.
All right, so you like Nova?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're affordable, right? And the problem is I only have 110 service out here in the shop. Electric is poopy, so I had to find something. This seemed to foot the bill price-wise, and it was, you know, it wasn't 220, so I was good to go. So, and I don't have any complaints. It's a great machine. You know, it does what I need it to do. You know.
Yeah, but one of the guys came on, Jhin66. He said he has the same lathe.
Right. Yep. No, they're good. I've never had a problem with it. You know, just I mean, you're going to have minor problems with some stuff, but it's a lathe. It's, you know, it's vibrating all the time, sometimes worse than others. So stuff's going to come out. I have weight. I have 50-pound dumbbells, weighting it down just to add more weight. You know, gets the job done.
Yeah.
Rolling cart with some stuff that I worked on today. Those are going to be, I'm going to oxidize those.
All right. Someone asked, what chuck are you using? Looks like
that's a one-way.
Yep.
I have 2 one-way chucks, 2 one-way stronghold chucks.
That's what I have.
Right. And we'll get to the other, where are the other ones at? Yeah. But grinder, cheap grinder. Yeah, I don't have CBN wheels or anything. I grind freehand on a crappy Ryobi 8-inch bench grinder. It's not even slow speed. So, you know, yeah, I'm burning through steel, but, you know, hey.
You know,
you're going to find out real quick in my shop when I do the tour that this is not high tech, and I don't have the latest and greatest.
But, you know,
that's okay.
Exactly. Oxidize. John asked about oxidize.
Vinegar and steel wool, John, and the oxidizing solution that I have is like years old. I use the same stuff. It's like been in the jar for like 4 or 5 years, and so
just keep reaching for a cup.
Yeah, it just makes some weird stuff. I put copper in there too, so it comes out like kind of just weird stuff. So, you know, it works. And I like the way it looks on cherry. Sometimes it'll make it look like black walnut. Sometimes it'll make it really dark. So, I mean, it just depends. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I think one of the great things about this is that you are showing you don't need all of the fancy stuff
No, you
to
don't.
do great work.
My 3 main tools that I use, literally, because this is also part of it. It's, you know, all kind of price and budget, what we can do. I use a 1/2-inch bowl gouge, a 1/4-inch bowl gouge, and you know, as far as gouges, that's all I use right there. Those 2. No matter how big the piece is, I have different hollowing tools. John Jordan handle, John Jordan tools. Here. This is a Raleigh Monroe hollowing tool. I use this one on end grain quite a bit. I like that. It can hog out the end grain pretty quick. You know, and that's really it for tools. We're on a budget up in here, but it works. It
works.
It works. You got to make do with what you have, and you know, so it can work. That's it.
And you do.
You have to. Someday, would I like really nice stuff like a shop like Glenn Lucas? Hey, sure, why not? Why not? Hundreds of tools? Sure, why not? But no, then that would be too much. It would be overload probably, right? But,
yeah, we were talking about that this morning.
Yeah.
Do you really need that problem?
Yeah, no, I don't need that problem. But, you know, yeah, there's the other one-way chuck right here with bigger jaws on it. I have a Victor 120 with little pin jaws on it. I like it. I use that a lot.
Greg. John said we're both
Yo.
frozen. John, are we good now?
Are we good?
Because I look good on my signal.
Yeah, I got good signal. I can see you look good.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it's fine. So what else? I mean, it's just a bench with all kinds of miscellaneous like little friction drives and stuff when I do vessels and whatever. It's a real mess, but it's okay. It's functional. You know, pegboard. Kind of got the wall of shame going with, these are all podlets that failed, right? We got the wall of shame kicking. But you can see the movement is good in some of these, but you know, that stem broke or whatever. No big deal. Sandpaper.
John's a hoot.
Yeah, mess. Just stuff, you know. This is what every wood turner's shop looks like anyways. The ones that I've seen anyways, you know. Just crap everywhere. You know, pieces that didn't make it. You know, just stuff that didn't make it. Rejects, stuff you work on later. Piles of stuff here and there. Bunch of yew wood right here. Just chilling. Stuff, more vessels drying out. You know, yeah. Wood. More bowls. These are roughed out bowls. They've been there for years. Probably won't get around to finishing them. They're like gray birch. I mean, the only thing I'd probably do with them is carve them up or something, because it does carve quite well. So, you know, I'll go over here. My shop is in the garage, and it's never.
Look,
there's never.
And it's so funny. Kevin from Steel and Grain.
Yeah.
He goes, "How big is your shop?"
Actually, the garage is actually pretty big. It's a 2.5 car garage. It's detached from my house. It's probably 24 by like 40 maybe.
Yeah. Kevin works in a phone booth.
Right. No, it's big, but I mean, there's other crap in here. Like that's stuff from the house. That's just crap. I mean, the weight bench is out here to work out, blah, blah. But, and then there's, you know, these are all yew branches. This stuff obviously is not high on the priority list, but there's just tubs and boxes of bowls, roughed out bowls, once turned bowls. I mean,
so where do you get your wood from?
it's all local. I mean,
Tree cutters? You ever go to a lot?
I have a buddy of mine that has farmland. That, you know, the farmers will want stuff cut down. Got a lot of apple from him, and I get a lot of cherry from him. And then the only really other source is just Craigslist or the transfer station, which is like a dump. You know, people use their yard, throw their yard waste in. And that's where I get.
I go there myself.
Yeah, that's where all the U comes from, the transfer station, the root balls and all that stuff. You just can't, you can't pass it up. It's free. You just got to dig for it and find it and take it home.
Yep.
This is all like box elder burl, shelves of it. And then we get out here. This is the back of the shop. I got another door that slides open, and it's just, well, everybody can recognize that. So cutting block, wood to burn in the fire pit, stacked up wood,
So that pile of wood back there, how fast would you go through that?
Depends on what I'm making.
Okay.
I mean, this was inside the shop until recently. I had to move it out to get the weight bench out here because my son was, wanting it out here. So that's fine. But, it depends on what I'm making. If I get a lot of wood like that, then I'll try and make stuff that I can get through it quick so that it's not gonna go bad. Like most of that stuff's starting to go bad. But, it just depends on what sizes they are. If it's smaller branches and stuff, obviously I'll probably go podlets or something like that. But bowls, I can get through bowls quick, obviously, if I green turn them, so that ain't no big deal.
So the bowls that are there, the 3 bowls, how long did it take you to turn those?
So to turn them and hollow them, each one of them, 45 minutes.
Wow.
And then, I let them dry and then I'll sand them. So and that doesn't take long at all. So.
All right. So we're at 1 minute and 12 seconds.
All right.
So we could do one or two things.
Okay.
We can call it.
Okay.
Or we can get back on it.
It matters not to me.
All right. So we're gonna get back on.
That's fine. Let's do it.
Right. So we'll get back on, and the next one, we'll get into the process, the business.
Okay.
And we'll entertain a lot more questions.
That's fine. Absolutely.
All right. So we'll be right back, you all.
All right.
All right. See you in a minute.
Yep.
Welcome back, my brother.
Welcome back. Nice to be here.
So thanks for the tour.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's talk about the business side of it. How do you go about pricing your work? The finding clients part, all of the stuff that makes this unfun.
Right. That's what makes it unfun. So pricing my work, it's still, we could go back to one of the other questions in the other video. What's the one things that I hate to hear is your stuff is priced way too low. Right? I hate hearing that, but it's okay. I get it. Right?
Okay, why do you hate hearing that?
Sometimes you feel a little stuck, right? I don't, intrinsically, I know that if my stuff's higher priced, you're going to get more money for it. But also, is it going to take longer for it to sell? Am I devaluing my work? Personally, I don't think so.
Now, let me pause you.
Yeah.
That is the problem with being stuck in the hole.
Sure.
With your head down in your shop, grinding it out. You don't know what's out there in the world.
That's true. No, I don't disagree.
And when we spoke with David Weeks,
mm-hmm.
who was crazy impressive. He does a lot of lighting and furniture, and he talked about doing wholesale and him wanting to get into a particular guy's shop, mm-hmm. and finally got in, and I think it was Pichu, and I think he finally got in the guy's shop, and the guy taught him how to properly price his work.
Right.
And once he did that, he opened the store. He's in Tribeca for 8 years, and he never turned back.
Right.
So it's difficult to price your work and
Right.
put the number on it.
It is. No, it's one of the hardest things to do. You know,
And
you can do all the formulas with the time, you know, cost, all that stuff. But then that gets into, if you're going to do art stuff, that gets into something completely different.
Yes.
Right. Perceived value versus all this and that. What does it mean to somebody? Does it speak to somebody and not to another person? All that kind of stuff. So it's difficult because one of the struggles that I have, being honest about it, is I make this stuff. I'm around it all day long, right? You know, a piece like this, I mean, I'm making this, and so I've seen it from log form, you know, cutting it with a chainsaw, putting it on the lathe, shaping it, hollowing it out, sanding it down. I have a lot of energy tied up in it, but I also have, I've just been looking at it constantly as I'm making it. So I have a different perspective of what that is than somebody else that hasn't seen it before. And I think that's part of the mental block of trying to price it to where it's, you know, what it should be.
Right. You just want to move it.
Well, I do want to move it, but I don't want to give it away, but I do want to move it. And I also want to, you know, get a fair price for it. Right. But then you also have all of the other life questions that come and life bubbles that pop up of, well, you know, are you in a position to sit on something for a long time and have it be a lot of money? Or do you need to move it? Do you need the money? Well, you know, those questions all come in because, hey, this is it, right? I chose to do that, and I did choose to do this.
As Bone Thugs would say, it's the first of the month.
It is. Yeah, all day long. You know, and you've got to pay bills, and that's the reality of it. That's the reality of, yeah, it's great to own your own business. It's great to do this for a living. I wouldn't give it up for anything. But you still got to make a living doing it, and you've got to sell stuff. You have to. So what does that mean? Am I willing to sell stuff a little cheaper than maybe I should get for it? You're damn right I am. If that means that I can keep doing it, right? Because if I don't do this, guess what? Somebody else will. And I want to do this.
Right.
I'm willing to work hard. I love working hard anyways, no matter what it is. But if I can work hard doing something that I love, it's not really work, for one. And two, you know, I've been doing it long enough now. I know what I'm doing, and I can do it fairly quick. So, you know, bring it. I'm ready to go, you know.
My issue is similar to yours.
Yeah.
Is you got to pay the bills.
Yep.
So a lot of times when I'm pricing something, I'm probably not pricing it the correct way. I'm pricing it to not, sometimes when I price, I'm pricing it to not lose the job, as
right.
opposed to pricing it on what the job really costs.
Right.
And I'm doing a better job at that now, but before it would hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you take a job, you take a job.
Absolutely.
And you have to figure out how to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
If you price it wrong, that comes out of your pocket.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not to mention all the other things that could go wrong in the process of that.
Yeah.
Which should come out of your pocket. So I probably would prefer to price it too high
mm-hmm.
and not get it.
Right.
Than to price it wrong and get it. Price it too low and get it.
I agree with that. I do agree, because it's, you know, it is I've been enlightened in the last few years about it, though. You know, I do sell my artwork is in the gallery, you know, one in Lansing, which is the nearest big city I'm nearest to in Michigan. So at the Lansing Art Gallery, my work is there, right? And you know, prior to the pandemic or whatever, I mean, I got a check from them every month.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and those were, that was gallery prices. I priced them at gallery prices. So that at least got me to the mode of thinking about, okay, I understand this now, right? I understand that people are going to walk into an art gallery. They're in an art gallery. They expect to pay more because they're in an art gallery, right? So, okay.
Right.
So if I'm selling stuff, on Instagram, having a little quick sale or something, it's not going to be art gallery prices.
Right.
I'm not giving it away, granted, because, that I don't buy wood. It costs me my time to get it. But, if you keep your sources local, quick, you can get it quick and all that stuff. But I mean, there's still work involved with sourcing your own wood, cutting it up, getting it to where you get it on the lathe and finished. That's still a lot of work.
Yep.
So you do have to accordingly, factor that in there.
The time, the materials,
Yeah.
the chisels, the lathe, the electric,
Yep.
all
Everything.
of that stuff.
Everything.
I used to, when I first started, I had a trailer, and I go and pick up the wood. And I would always say, I got it free. And then I got a yard, and they drop off wood. And I always say it's free wood. It ain't.
Nothing's free. Nothing is free.
Because I have to pay for that trailer. If that trailer caught a flat,
Right.
the axle broke. If things broke, I had to fix it.
Yep.
It was more gas in the van to travel in it. There was more time.
Yep.
There was more wear and tear on the van.
Mm-hmm.
Having a yard, I have to pay rent in the yard. I have to have a space for them to bring the wood.
Right.
I have to have a machine to move the wood.
Fuel
I have
for
to
the
have a machine
machine.
to cut the wood.
Yeah.
So all of those things factor into the price.
Even if you get the wood dropped off, absolutely. Still. Yeah, and that's the truth. It really is. Well, I mean, is it going to make your profit margin maybe a little higher? Sure, because you're not buying the wood and then on top of everything else. So.
Yeah, and that shouldn't affect your prices because it's what they call market rate.
Right.
And if you figure out a way to better your margin, you should benefit from that. Not Jimmy from down the street.
Right.
Or Susie from down the street. Whomever.
Right.
That you earn because of you figuring it out. All right, Steel and Grain. Greg, do you take commissions or all spec pieces?
I'll make anything, anytime.
I think that's what I take from this. Return.
I don't care. Well, I mean, as long as it's not. I mean, if my lathe can't handle it, I can't do it. But
right.
If it's all along the lines of what the capacity of my lathe is and whatnot, then I'll do it. I really don't care. And that's a big thing too. Is I would implore to other turners to do that. Take commission pieces. Take special order pieces, because that, even if it's something you've never made before, do it, because it will help you.
Yeah, figure it out.
You got to figure it out, and it's something you haven't made before. Well, fine. I made it seemed pretty simple, but I got a commission to do a nut bowl, is what she called it. I thought, what the hell is that? But
a bowl you put nuts in?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a bowl you put nuts in, but it had a cylinder in the middle of the bowl to put the nutcrackers and the picks in, right? So I was like, wow, okay. But it actually was pretty simple, right? You just make a nice bowl and you cut a recess for where that post is going to sit.
Right.
Yeah, so that's easy. It was easy, but I didn't know what she was talking about, but I still did it, and it turned out nice. you know, so yeah.
Um, I when we talked about, and I wanted to say this, it came to my mind again, when we talked about looking at other people.
Yeah.
You may have heard this, but have you heard the story of the hat guy?
No,
Okay.
maybe not.
And this is a turning thing, right?
Right.
So there's two hat guys. There's the hat guy, and then there's the. So the hat guy did the hats,
Mm-hmm.
and in the wood turner community, everyone teaches each other how to do their stuff. You know, you go see somebody, they'll show you how to do their thing.
Right.
The whole deal. So another guy start making hats and
Mm-hmm.
become more famous making hats than the hat guy.
Yes.
And I just find that that's hilarious to me.
I know who you're talking about. Yes. But yeah. Yep.
So,
And that's
so there you go.
right. So, but you know, that is, you know, that it is, you know, one of those things where, because that's a really specific item, you know, turning a wooden hat. That's not like, you know, this guy makes bowls and this guy makes bowls. Those are completely, that's a, you know, and I don't know. I would feel bad, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, it's one of those things.
It is, you know,
So
that,
how is the pandemic treating you?
well, you know, in the beginning, well, as far as business goes, it is slow, of course. You know, it just really is. But as far as like actual, like the mental part of it and the physical part of it, it's no different. I'm in my shop all the time anyways, you know? So, and I work from home, right? So if you're quarantined at home, okay, that's not really that much different.
Right.
But you know, obviously the public going out in public and stuff like that's a no, you know, just to the grocery store and whatnot. But otherwise, it's not really that much different as far as work goes. Business side, yeah, slower. It has forced, you know, hopefully in a couple of weeks, I'll get everything set up for live remote demonstrations, because I know that's one thing that this has. It seems to become a revelation more than anything, is that's starting to really take off for a lot of people. So
how does that work? So you do a live remote.
right.
Now, do people pay to get on? Or
Yeah, you know, as much as I know about it at this time, you know, notwithstanding all the equipment thing, but yeah, you have to, you know, it's set up to where, you know, you can you know, have them pay through your website or whatever other hosting company, and you can, you know, they charge them whatever. Most of the ones that I've seen, they're not charging too much, you know, per person to watch, which is fine, because if you get enough people on there, that's fine, you know. But it seems pretty economical in terms of, you know, if you're going to pay $5 or $10 to watch somebody demonstrate for an hour, hour and a half, that seems pretty reasonable at best. You know what I mean? So
right.
if you can turn it on, you know, I know a lot of guys are doing it to wood turning clubs, and they're getting like multiple clubs doing it. I think I'm going to do one in August.
With whom?
I think a couple of clubs, from like one from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and another one I think from Kalamazoo, maybe Michigan. I think they're going to kind of piggyback on it, which is fine. See, that's the beauty of doing, you know, live remote, is you can have people from all over the world watching you. You know,
yes,
if you want it.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, I look forward to getting into that, so that, you know, it's another, you know, and when you're a business person, you have to think about things like that. You have to think about other revenue streams, you know, and if this is kind of the way things are going, then, you know, It's the way things are going, you know.
So right here, J Hen 66, his club is looking to hire professional woodturners. Where's your
Right.
club?
Yes, where is your club?
Where the club at?
Exactly. Where the
So-
club at?
So where? Okay, other than
Mm-hmm.
remote turnings, what have Los Angeles? Yeah,
Okay.
tune in. What have you decided additionally you want to do?
Demonstrations, obviously, right. You know, that is well, you know, and I had a lot of stuff set up before everything got shut down. You know, there were going to be a lot of demonstrations and probably some, you know, could I still do one-on-one classes? Yeah, sure. You know, even with the pandemic, I don't think that would be too much of a problem. You know, I can do that. You know, you can do whatever. And then as far as actually getting my work out there, it's always a work in progress. It really is. It's still contacting galleries. It's still
So
looking at art shows, looking at.
do you do that yourself, or does someone else do that for you?
Most of the time I have to do it myself. My girlfriend is starting to help, which is a big help. It's huge because, I
It's
mean,
a lot to do alone.
you know, there's a time that, yeah, I had to do it alone for a while, right?
It's a
And
lot.
it's overwhelming. It really is. And then it's limiting. I mean, you know that you can't give 100% to something that needs 100%.
It's an entire job in and of itself.
Oh, it is. When, you know, you work for yourself, and if you literally going to do it yourself, it's, you know, 1, 2, 3, I don't know how many jobs it is. And that's tough. And
It is.
did I think about that when I start? No. No.
Just wanted to turn.
Just wanted to turn, baby, and sell it. That's all. It's so easy.
Get it in, get it out.
Right. No, it's not that easy.
And then a tax man knock on your door.
What's that?
I said, then a tax man knock on your door.
Yes, sir.
And he's like, hey, what's up, my brother?
Yeah, nothing. You slam the door in his face. Get out.
And he comes back.
Right. Yeah, it's,
So-
you know, it's if you have help doing it, I mean, obviously that makes it a lot easier. I know a lot of turners, you know, like I think John Jordan, I think his wife Vicky does a lot of the business side of stuff, I think, pretty sure, which, you know, and that stuff, it's a big help. You know, it really is. It really goes understate, you know.
I spoke to a guy. I sent him a message.
Mhm.
He's a virtual accountant.
Right.
So what I want to do with him is have a conversation,
Sure.
because there's so much that we need to know that he can answer.
See, those kind of conversations, those are important. You know what I mean? They are. Those are like, it's nice to talk to people that make cool stuff and all that, but hey, you know, you're right. You know, we need somebody to talk to the people that we need to talk to.
To keep us out of trouble.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
I got in it bad because I didn't know.
Right.
Got in it bad.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's all tough. It really is. And you know, well, I'll say some people probably it's a lot easier, maybe for some people. But computer work, I mean, I'm not computer illiterate. I know what to do on a computer and all this kind of stuff. I know my way around. But it's the sitting down, staring at a screen, and that is not what I want to do. I have to just absolutely force myself to do that. You know, I do enjoy the fact that a lot of stuff can be done on the phone. I do enjoy that. That's not too bad, right? I mean, if I have PayPal, if somebody wants to buy something on Instagram, boom, okay, give me your email address. I'll send you an invoice right now, and I can do it in 2 minutes. And then boom, they pay, and I'm back at the lathe just like that. And it's beautiful. You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff, that is great. You know, there's no.
But it's the part after that, at the end of the month, we got to document that.
Yeah.
We got to report that.
Sure.
They want a 1099.
Right. Right. You know, but you got to take all that, you know, and take the good with the bad, or the bad
It's all a
with the
part
good.
of the journey.
It is too. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not easy, man.
No, it's not. It's not easy at all. But, you know, but is it like devastatingly, I can't do
No,
this? No,
it's not.
no,
And this
no.
is what we signed up to do.
Absolutely. You know, it's just like anybody else's job, right? I know, like we were talking about, my brother's a cop. Yeah. Does he probably feel bad at times, getting dogged all the time in media and all this? Probably. Do I feel like shit sometimes because stuff's not going right for me? Yeah, but guess what? We both signed up to do this. He signed up to be a cop, you know, and that's what he chose to do. Good, bad, indifferent, nasty, whatever. I chose to do this, same thing. It's the same thing, you know, different circumstances and outcomes, but, you know.
Right. So
Right.
what part of Jersey is your brother cop in?
Southern New Jersey.
So closer to the city.
Yeah, I wish I knew what town it was. It's like outside of Camden, I think.
Yeah, that's
Something
fine.
like that. Something like that.
Yeah. When's the last time you saw him?
I think last year. I
You
think.
went there or he came to you?
No, we usually meet up. My parents have a place in Canada, and you know, we'll meet up there, stuff like that.
So why'd you move so much?
Well, when I was a kid, my stepdad was in cellular communications, you know, back when they, you know, cell phones first started popping, you
Is
know.
Frankie Vitz your brother?
That is my mom.
What's up, Mama?
That's right.
She says Lindenwold, New Jersey.
Lindenwold, New Jersey. That's where he's at then. That's right. Lindenwold PD. Right. But my stepdad was in, you know, cell phones when they first started coming up and stuff. So he was traveling all over the place. And, you know, so yeah, it's fine. I was born in Texas.
What part?
Lived there for like 11, 12 years. Then we moved to New Hampshire. That was only for like a year and a half or so. And then moved to California, LA. I went to high school out in LA and stuff
What was
like
that
that.
like?
I liked it, of course. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, you know, it's where I guess, you know, you go to high school, you kind of figure that's where you grew up. You know what I mean?
It had an impact on you.
Right. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. So much to do, a lot of people. It's a good time. Then moved to Missouri. But, you know, I've been a lot of different places too. And then moved to Michigan. Visit a lot of places. So.
Okay. What places had the most impact? Was it LA in high school? Or
I
was it
think
somewhere else.
I think so, for a lot of different reasons. You know, I mean, I think it, just like I said, naturally when you're growing up that age, I think, you know, the place you're at, the people around you, and that formulates a lot of stuff.
But
you know,
all those other places are easy to forget.
kind of, they are. I mean, they are. You're right. I mean, I'm a big nature guy, so, but I mean, there's, you know, California had it all, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily care for the ocean that much, but I mean, it's cool. But Michigan's nice too. I'm not gonna lie. It's real.
Are you close to water there?
Well, I guess what do they say about Michigan? Anybody in Michigan's no farther than like a mile from a lake, mile or 2 miles from any lake. I think something like that. I don't know, but we will go to Lake Michigan as much as we can, and that's probably the closest we go. It's probably like an hour and a half away. We're right.
Not bad.
No, it's not bad. I'm dead center, right in the middle of the state, lower part. But you know, yeah, Lake Michigan's beautiful. I mean, can't beat it.
So, who you rolling with? University of Michigan or Michigan State?
I don't do that. I don't.
What are you talking about?
Well,
you don't do what?
I just don't. I don't jump on college teams like that. I mean, MSU is 3 miles away. So everyone around here is MSU.
And you're not.
No, I didn't grow up here. You know what I mean? I don't, even if, I don't know, maybe I didn't go to college or anything like that. I mean, a semester.
Who cares?
I know, but I just don't. I mean, I played hockey growing up, but other than that, you know, I don't know.
That's probably the most un-American thing I've ever heard.
Oh, come on. Patriotic. Got to be different.
All right. You know, I like them both. I like Magic Johnson, Michigan State. I like the Fab Five.
Yeah, absolutely.
Juwan Howard's at the University of Michigan now. I love that.
Right.
But, you know, I used to follow college basketball a lot more than I do now.
Mm-hmm.
Janie, I moved from Kentucky to California, and I have to be near an ocean from now on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that's another Kentucky. That's another place that's easy to forget.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and that's a funny thing about life, right? I mean, you go different places, but like, you know, when I was out in LA, that was Showtime, right? So you got the Lakers, you got Magic, and you know,
that's what I'm saying.
And then Kareem and everybody, right? But then, you know, I moved to Michigan later on, and I moved, you know, into Lansing, right? So that's where Magic's from, right? So it's still, it kind of, you know, I mean, I enjoyed watching the Lakers back in the day, absolutely. Oh, that was the best.
It was.
Oh yeah.
It was. But I used to watch a lot of college basketball because I hated Duke.
Right.
And I hated Duke because for some reason the team would always be all white.
Right.
And I'm like, and they were good.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Celtics was at a point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how the hell you get a basketball team? You ain't got no brothers on it.
Right.
You intentionally tried to do that.
Sure.
So I would root for North Carolina to always beat them.
Uh-huh.
So then at Four Seasons, I meet this buddy of mine. I worked at Four Seasons Hotel. I meet this buddy of mine. And he was a big Duke guy.
Right.
And we're going back and forth. I'm like, North Carolina. He's like, they suck.
Right.
So we're going back and forth. So then he starts to tell me about Coach K, the history of the program, how they don't put a banner up until everyone graduates, even if they come back.
Right.
For a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get into it. So then I soften up a little bit. And then I start to look into North Carolina program. And none of them brothers graduated.
Yeah.
So I look into this and I'm like, oh my God. So now all of my basketball relationships are shattered.
Right.
So now I'm starting to root for Duke. Not as much care about Carolina. So the other day, Coach K does the interview, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
And that was it. I'm like, I did the right thing.
Yeah.
I did the right thing.
Sure.
So I sent it to my buddy. I was like, listen, man, I hated Duke. I met you. I started cheering for Duke. I said, and this makes me love Duke.
Right.
Because how can you go and recruit into these black families' houses and not be able to tell them that Black Lives Matter?
That's true.
I find that hard to understand.
Right.
And the coach that did it that really surprised me was Nick Saban. You know, he was right in the middle of Alabama.
Right.
When the race was going on for the senator, the guy who was a pedophile,
right,
he wouldn't pick a side. He wouldn't. He said, I don't get into politics. So for him to take that stand, I thought was good. So that's my basketball.
Yeah. It's fine.
That's it.
Right.
What's up, Jack English? So I think we've covered it all. Is there anything you wanna say and talk about? First of all, thank you very much, man. What you do is absolutely amazing, and I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, I remember you calling, messaging me a year ago, wanting lessons, and then, getting the conversations going. I thought that's a great idea. I really did, and it is great. I like watching them. It's fun.
Yeah.
And it's informative.
Yeah, that's the point. And at some point, Keith and John Jordan and I'll call you again.
Absolutely. And that's the other thing about these as well, the conversations. Yeah, you can, Instagram is great because you get to see what people do and, get a kind of feel for people, but the conversation makes it, it goes all the way, right?
Yeah, makes it a little more tangible.
A little more tangible, brings them 100% closer, which is good.
Yep, exactly. And also to everyone that's listening, if you're in my DMs, I'm probably going to call you on video chat.
Absolutely.
I've done it with Jack English. Still in Grant, I haven't done it yet. But I've called you, you weren't in, and I think we called maybe 3 or 4 guys that day.
Right.
But it's random.
Yeah.
Random. So, and that's the thing. So again, brother, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it.
Robert, I appreciate it so much. And anytime you want to have me back for anything, I don't care. Let's do it.
And I will.
Okay.
I will.
I look forward to it.
All right, my brother.
And I need to get out there so I can give you some lessons, I guess.
Yeah. Coming out to the big city.
I need to.
And I think our COVID count is probably lower than yours.
Probably. I tell you what, man. Jesus. So what the big news here was in East Lansing, on campus. Well, it's close to campus. There was a bar called Harper's, and it was open. They ended up having, now I think the total's like 85 cases from somebody that went in there, And then the story was one girl tested positive. She was symptomatic, went to Grosse Pointe Woods, which is over north of Detroit by Lake Huron, threw a house party and got a bunch of other people infected.
Through a house party. And she was symptomatic. So, I mean, we got to use this. Come on, people. Yeah. Follow the science and not emotions.
And the sad thing about the Harper's thing is there's, pictures of it everywhere. You could look them up. People waiting in line, standing outside, no masks, nothing, just all gathered around talking. Big old sign. Please wear a mask while standing in line. It's just frustrating.
Yeah. I don't they're dragging us out so long.
Yep.
So long.
I agree.
In places like Florida and Texas, like with us, it took 3 or 4 months.
Right.
So they're at the height of they're going to be in this in the new year.
Absolutely. And I mean, I don't know. People, God, it just seems
and we're not even on a second wave.
No, that's what I was just going to say. And these waves are just going to keep rolling. Just like the tide. They're just going to keep rolling in. Rolling in.
It's like a circle.
Yeah, absolutely. Horrible.
Yeah. Well.
All right.
On that note.
Yeah. On that positive note.
Yep. Thank you very much, man.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate it, Robert. I do.
All right. Have a good night.
All right. You too. Talk to you later, brother.
Good night.
All right. Bye-bye.